on that.
Hello and welcome to episode number 871 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, August 1st, 2023. I'm your host, Chris Johnston, and with me, as always, is Mr. Greg Seward from Canada. He's from
Yellow.
Canada. You see.
That's right, Mr. Canada to you.
Yeah. Hey, how's it been?
I think the last couple episodes are okay. Last few
I
episodes.
thought they were great. I was like,
Yeah.
I should just, exit the podcast stage left and let you guys.
if you just want to produce.
let you guys go on.
Oh no, I was talking about getting rid of Phil too.
Oh, okay. Then it'd be a solo show.
Yeah.
You're gonna Major Nelson it, although
he had a long and storied career. So
he did. Are we gonna be podcasting longer than Major Nelson Radio at this point?
How long did that go?
It started before us. Yeah, he started before us.
It was like an Xbox 360 thing, right? So
yeah.
So 2006. Yeah. I mean, we're getting pretty close because we were 2007.
Yeah, 2006.
Oh, well, there you
started.
Well, then we have gone longer, haven't we?
No, I don't think so. Well, he's leaving Microsoft. So
yeah, but
that's part of it.
Okay. He's not going to stop the show, though?
I imagine he'll stop it. I wonder, does Microsoft retain the brand, the IP for Major Nelson? They could.
Microsoft's like the WWE. He can go to another.
Right. It's going to be like Zorro. Somebody else takes the mantle, picks up the
He can
mantle.
go to another promotion, but it'll have to be like the man formerly known as Major Nelson, or.
Yeah. It'll be like the Dread Pirate Roberts in Princess Bride.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is, right?
Yeah. And then once he's got the belt of that new promotion, he can maybe come back to Xbox.
That's right. Yeah.
But he has to drop the belt first. That's just how it works.
Of course. There's got to be some kind of battle royale for it.
Yeah.
Though first, right?
Or a Montreal screw job.
What does that mean?
You don't know what the Montreal screw job is, or was? You must know.
I think I've heard of it. Yeah,
it was when you don't know. That's your way of saying you don't know.
Which Hart it was affected by this again? Was it Bret Hart?
Bret Hart.
Okay. Yeah. See, I know what I'm talking. I know what you're
talking.
The
belt off him.
Yeah.
In Montreal,
I've heard of it, and I think it's
because he was going to WCW. CJ, it was high drama.
I think another podcast mentioned it recently, and it might have been this one. It might have been you like 3 weeks ago on this podcast. Could have been, but
it wasn't. But anyway,
all right. Well, hopefully everything up there in Canada is good.
Well, we've had the wildfires.
Yeah, and then you had crazy rain.
We had the flooding. Yeah, so we had a CFL game in town this weekend. So I mean, I think we've covered all the. I think that's it's like the 10 Commandments up here.
It's like the 10 Commandments everywhere, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All sorts of signs of the apocalypse are.
That's what Big Apocalypse wants you to think.
That's true. Yeah. Well, anyway, I've been playing a lot of video games, and I can't wait to talk with you about them.
Thank God, because I got nothing.
None of them are Sea of Thieves, but
and now you're going to have to fill time for a second. I'll be right back.
Oh God, Greg, going to parent or get another drink. It's one of those for sure. Yeah, well, I guess I'll kick it off here by saying, like, during the break while I was away, we started watching Silo on Apple TV. I don't know if anyone else is watching that. It's absolutely fantastic. We're about to finish the 10th episode, which is the end of season 1. So if you're looking for a new science fiction streaming show, it's got Lost vibes to it. Highly recommend Silo on Apple TV.
I watched like the first 3 episodes of that.
Yeah.
And then my free trial ran out, so I stopped watching it.
What? Oh,
I have too many subscriptions, man. I'm still paying for cable.
Well, that's definitely a mistake. You should not be paying for cable anymore.
Yeah.
You should go right to just the streaming future. The all digital future.
But you know what I have been watching?
What?
Finally. This is so lame.
What's that? Tell me.
I started watching Downton Abbey.
Oh my God.
It's really good. I can't stop watching it.
You're on the Downton Abbey boat?
I am.
Nice.
Yeah. It's like everyone was crazy about this show. And
Like
I'm
10
check
years
it out.
ago. Yeah.
Shut
now
up.
that all the hype for Downton Abbey has died down,
Right.
you're like, when it was being hyped, you avoided it. You're like, no, not for me.
See, now I know it's a good show because I haven't heard people complain about it. So now I'm going to watch it.
Well, no one's watching it now.
Because they already finished watching it.
I guess that's true.
See, now if I like looking at something like Lost as an example, Lost sucked by the end.
I liked the ending.
You hated the ending.
I liked the ending.
You're the only one.
I know. I thought the season with the whole temple thing, that was terrible.
I don't know because I never watched it because I waited and then I knew it wasn't worth it. Kind of like I wish I'd done with Game of Thrones.
Oh, there you go. We're about to maybe start a rewatch
of
Lost with my daughter.
Oh,
as well, because she's watching Silo with us, and it's very Lost-like in terms of mysteries and things like that. So, and she's into it. So we're thinking, well, why don't we watch Lost? You might be into that too. So we'll see.
We just also discovered on I don't know if it's Prime Video up here or Crave. I'll have to look it up. And actually, if it's something that you Americans have access to, you'll have to do this too. They have the entire run of Degrassi.
Okay.
My oldest is really excited because we started a Degrassi Junior High watch through a while ago, and then just kind of fell off because we just got really busy. Now we can do the whole thing, and it doesn't have to be like the crappy things I downloaded or that I torrented like 20 years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's actually like, it even has the Kids of Degrassi Street, which was the series that predated Degrassi Junior High. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. This is a series from like the 70s, like the late 70s.
That's too much for me. It's too much.
There's never too much.
Yeah. I think I've mentioned I tried to rewatch like Knight Rider and The Fall Guy.
How'd that go? Not
too well. It turns out hour-long dramas from the early 80s were really boring. Like I have always been much more of a sitcom person just in general, but when you watch some of those hour-long shows from
I'll tell you, man,
they, especially when they didn't have budget to do some of the things they normally wanted to do, they just like stretch for time.
But I'll tell you, I could watch back then. Fall Guy or Knight Rider comes on, I'm watching it.
Oh, well, of course.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned this before. I rewatched like the pilot episode of Greatest American Hero. Have you ever seen? So boring. It's boring. It's like 2 hours of nothing. It's like a really good half hour and then like stretched into.
It really struck me when I watched that how I did not remember any details about that series at all. But I watched it religiously.
Me too.
But
me too.
Yeah, like I did not remember that the whole premise was that he didn't have the instructions for his suit.
Oh, you didn't remember that was the
not
premise?
at all.
Oh wow, yeah, I knew that at least.
No, I didn't. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
So
it's just him fumbling around for 2 hours, not knowing how to do anything.
I was, when you think about it, it's brilliant because it's a low budget superhero TV show that is Superman in everything but name. And it's like, well, how do we free up the writers? We don't want to shackle the writers. Oh, I know how. Just make it that he doesn't know how to use a suit. So anything you come up with, hey, that's a power the suit had. We didn't know.
That's right. We didn't know.
That's brilliant.
It is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they can revive it during this current writer's strike. AI can write episodes of The Greatest American Hero. We'll see how long that strike goes. Hopefully not too much longer.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, but been watching a lot of TV.
Good. That's great content for our video game podcast.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But I've also been playing a lot of video games, so we can get into that. First of all, Greg, have we talked about having an intervention about your Zelda addiction?
150 hours.
I know. I saw that on your Switch profile. I was like,
Oh, that's on the profile?
150 hours? Tears of the Kingdom? That's more hours than I spent in Breath of the Wild, and you're probably like closing in on 100 hours more than I've played Tears of the Kingdom.
Really? So you finished Tears of the Kingdom then, right?
I did not. No.
God damn it, CJ.
I've not finished it. Yeah.
So I'm going through my side quest list. The unfinished side quest that I've got right now is short enough that it actually doesn't scroll off the page anymore.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
like it's down, and one of them's finding all the wells, which I really doubt I'm going to do. Just like one of my other stories. Like there's 3 different sets of quests, and there's like the story quests. I forget what the second one's called, and then there's side quests. And I've been focusing on the side quests, and one of them is find all the wells, but one of them in like the second tier is filling out the bestiary, and I'm not going to do that.
Taking pictures of all of the things.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like today I was
hate
playing
that kind of thing in any game. Like,
later,
take all the pictures of all the
enemies. Although this game lets you pay somebody to just fill it out.
Oh, really? You can do that?
Yeah.
Oh.
The doctor, what's his name there, who sends you down into the depths for the very first time. And then you go to him, and he like upgrades your Puripad or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Anyway, he has a full set of pictures, and basically says, any that you're missing, you just pay me, and you can have my pictures, and that will fill out the quest.
Wow. Okay.
If you want to do that,
I'm sure you don't
talk to your best friend Mike. He did it.
Oh, really? He paid to fill out the bestiary?
Absolutely, he did.
Wow, that's cheating. That's cheating, right?
Yeah,
that's like
Mike's a filthy cheater. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're still playing Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah, I actually just went to. I mean, this is turning into what you've been playing, but I actually went to Hyrule Castle for the first time tonight because I had a side quest about a hidden treasure in the throne room, and I've been putting it off because I was so afraid that going into Hyrule Castle was going to trigger like an end game, which I really don't want to happen. But I decided now, you know what, I'm going to do it, and Hyrule Castle is pretty cool. I assume you've been in there.
I have been in there, yeah.
Yeah. So then while I was in there, I'm actually doing sort of the other story quest in there, which I'm not going to say because I don't want to ruin it for anyone. But I'm hoping it doesn't trigger an end game or anything like that because got, like I said, about, I'd say half a dozen side quests left to do. I got about 40, a little less than 40 shrines to find. And then I've probably explored like 30% of the depths. So I want to do that because I have a ton of treasure maps so there's lots of X's marked down there in the depths that I need to I want to go down and find. So
I'm surprised that you're still playing Tears of the Kingdom. You dropped off Breath of the Wild.
Well, I finished Breath of the Wild
quickly, didn't you? I mean,
no, I finished it, but I critical passed it.
Okay.
Because I didn't dislike.
What's different about this?
I didn't love it.
What's different about this?
I think it has. I think that I love that the temples that they've added feel more like traditional Zelda style dungeons, right? That is a huge thing for me because that was missing from Breath of the Wild. The giant creatures were not a good substitute for that.
Yeah.
The fusing your weapons with items makes the weapons. I don't find the breakable weapons nearly as much of a pain in the ass this time around because they tend to last a lot longer. Like I said a few weeks ago when I finally got the Master Sword, where you can't make the Master Sword last longer than its energy. That like having the Master Sword reminds me of how much I hated the breakable weapons in Breath of the Wild. But I have like a great set of weapons that they do break eventually, but they take a lot to break. If you're not using, sort of fragile materials on them. And I think the other thing for me is that when Breath of the Wild came out, I was looking for a traditional Zelda game. And it's just like it was completely not that it didn't, and I'm not a huge open world guy anymore anyway. It didn't do anything for me. And then it was exacerbated by those other 2 things I just mentioned. But with Tears of the Kingdom, I was prepared for what it was, you know,
right?
And I was in the right mood for it. And I mean, clearly it's resonating because 150 hours in, and I can't put it down. Like, I'm not normally a completionist. I'm not normally into games like this. And I absolutely do not spend hundreds of hours on a game unless it's something more along the lines of, say, like a Gran Turismo that I pick up and play online.
Yeah.
Right. But a single player quest based game, I don't spend hundreds of hours on. That's not me, except for this one. So it's pretty high up there as far as I was thinking about this the other day because we always do a top 5 of the year. I don't know that I could make a top 5 right now because I've sort of
well, Tears of the Kingdom is your number one
for Tears of the Kingdom. Well, it is right now. We'll see how Spider-Man 2 is though.
Yeah,
I expect Spider-Man 2 and Tears of the Kingdom would be my top 2 in some form.
Spider-Man 2, man. Did you see that new trailer? That was the Comic-Con trailer?
Yeah.
Looks great.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. And they're doing, the special edition DualSense and
the special edition PS5 looks really nice.
It actually does. I'm kind of glad they're selling the
shell
separately, so that if you have a PS5, you don't have to buy.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Special edition.
It was a great idea when Microsoft did it back on the Xbox 360.
Faceplates?
Yeah.
Faceplates were never a good idea.
You were never a good idea.
All right, I'll see you later.
Yeah, they were. They were good.
I mean, I bought faceplates, but I don't think
I know
they were
you
great.
did.
I don't think they were great.
Whatever. I loved them.
Yeah. I mean, there's something different about having a system that's the whole shell being different, right? And I think 3DS 3DS faceplates did that whole thing where it completely transformed the system into.
I forgot 3DS had faceplates.
Whatever. Yeah, it did. It had a wood grained faceplate, and
they were swappable on your system. You mean
swappable? Yeah,
I didn't remember that at all.
Swappable. Yep. With later,
not something that I do.
New 3DS and later.
I think
is when
it's not something that I do. Like, I mean, I have multiple 360 faceplates, but it was because they were usually part of like a special edition or something like that, right? Like,
yeah, there were a couple of those.
Otherwise, it's not something I've ever really taken advantage of.
I did buy the wood grained one.
That would be pretty cool.
Wood grained 360 faceplate and a wood grained 3DS faceplate. Yeah. Anyway.
I had I still have it's actually mounted on the wall in my game room, is the E3 2005 special edition faceplate, right? With the multiple rings for the 360. That was really cool. And that was something that those of us who attended the press conference, I believe, is where we got those.
Yeah.
That year.
That is, yeah.
I think it's probably one of the last E3 press conferences I ever attended.
Okay. Well, we were talking about Zelda a little bit. Let's talk about Ages and Seasons being added to NSO. So these are the Game Boy Color games added to Nintendo Switch Online, that extra expansion pack. Is that what it's called? Expansion pack? I think so.
I forget what it's called. Is Game Boy Color part of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Game Boy in general.
Game Boy,
right, is part of that. And it's awesome that they added these. They had announced previously that they were on the slate, but always good to see them. And these are two of my favorite Zelda games. I like these better than Link's Awakening. I'm really like not a Link's Awakening person. I'm more of a.
I think that's weird, but I mean, these are still really, really good.
I'm more of a 3D Zelda fan than 2D is part of it.
Filthy 3D Zelda fan.
That's right. Yeah.
I remember playing these because we were both at the magazine at the time. I think you reviewed them.
I reviewed it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Mark,
I gave them
and I forget
10s.
who else. Yes, I think you did.
Yeah.
They were such a cool idea, right? Because the whole idea behind it is that you have to play through both of them to get the real ending, right?
Right.
And they're two completely different Zelda games. They aren't. It's like, I think you guys mentioned in your reviews. I know I saw because that YouTube channel that I follow, Defunct Games, did what the critics said about
Oh,
these.
they
They
did.
had your
Okay,
review
I
up
gotta
on the
watch that.
screen.
I gotta watch
You and
that.
Mark, they had your reviews up on the screen, and I think it was Mark who you might have said it as well. Somebody said whereas like it's not like the different colored Pokemon games.
Yeah.
Where you don't really need to play both of them to get or all of them to get the full experience. With the Oracle and Aegis games, you needed to play both of them to get the full experience because one was very puzzle based and one was really action based.
Yep.
But they weren't the same dungeons, they weren't the same maps, nothing. But they also, and you'll have to, I don't 100% remember how this works, but you would get codes. Or you could use the link cable, I think, as well. But
I think you could too. Yeah.
I don't remember if you got codes at various intervals in the game, in whatever game you were playing, and you would input them into the other game and they would affect different things in either game.
Yeah.
Either way, it was a really cool, interconnected pair of games that was such a neat idea.
Very cool.
That was supposed to be a trilogy, if you remember.
Oh, that's right. There was another one that I don't know what they ended up doing with that.
I think it was supposed to be. It was either a remake or a reimagining of the first game, or Link to the Past. One of those two. No, yeah, Link to the Past. But anyway, it never.
Well, and then Capcom went to do Minish Cap,
which was also great.
Which I still haven't ever finished.
Also on the NSO service.
It's also on NSO.
You should play it more.
I have played. So I played probably about 8 hours into it at this point.
I loved Minish Cap.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, you suck. I loved Minish Cap.
Okay. I need to play more of it.
You're okay.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh man. I've also been playing a lot of Fortnite, and I'll tell you why.
I couldn't tell by the outline where a full 50% of the stories are
Fortnite.
The different partnerships and characters that are going to be in Fortnite, or the Fortnite's delayed, or it's like Jesus Christ.
Right.
I hate this timeline.
Yeah, Fortnite. I've been playing a bunch of it anyway. I think I'm like level 70 something at this point. Or bust in the battle pass, but I think I'm going to complete it and get Optimus Prime. That's my goal, and this season ends in August at some point, so I'll try to finish it. But they announced a Futurama crossover last week, and I could not be happier at that, because I immediately bought the cosmetics for that, and it's kind of pricey. Yeah,
but you're really selling it.
I had the V-Bucks, so why not? And they look really great. I mean, the one thing, there's a lot of things to love about Fortnite, but Epic really does a great job, I think, modeling licensed properties, maybe especially of the cartoon variety or the animated variety. I thought the Dragon Ball Z skins were fantastic. They looked great. And these Futurama skins look great also. You got Bender, Fry, and Leela. And you have a glider that's the Planet Express ship. And you can get a Nibbler back bling. And Bender has like the bent girder pickaxe weapon. It's awesome. I'll just say that.
Can I tell you something?
Much. Go ahead.
I wasn't a big Futurama fan.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. When Futurama first started, I don't know if you remember this, they did this thing that they sometimes do. They did this with Family Guy too, where in the US anyway, it was like the thing after the Super Bowl, they premiere a new show, and they premiered Futurama, I think.
Really?
If I remember correctly. I was a huge Simpsons fan at the time.
Oh, yeah, same.
Was like, all right, Futurama, this is going to be great, from the creators of The Simpsons. And it's a totally different show, totally different humor style. And I thought it sucked.
Which is apparently really good, but yeah, it never did much for me.
At the time, I thought it was terrible. And then years later, I think it was when it started airing on Adult Swim that I started watching it again. It was like, yeah, this is really good. Yeah. So then I started getting into it, and pretty much very similar with Family Guy. Although Family Guy, I think it was watching it during our deadline dinners at EGM that was like,
did we watch that at EGM?
Yeah, we watched a lot of Family Guy.
Must be where I saw it. See, at one point in my game development career, I was working on a Family Guy game that ended up not happening and ended up getting canceled. So I watched a lot of Family Guy for a year or so.
Okay.
Outside of the deadline dinners, and because it was the one that I was working on was going to be a mini game compilation for the handhelds. So it was just like, with stuff like that, you sort of had to go and find. We were all like looking for gags that we could sort of extract out into a mini game.
Sure.
Right. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I always thought that show was okay. I mean, it wears thin. It's
certainly.
Yeah.
It's gone on way longer than.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say the same about The Simpsons, but The Simpsons evolved. I think The Simpsons, for as long as I watched it anyway, the 10 years or so that I was watching it, it evolved a lot across those seasons, where I feel like The Family Guy, again, I don't watch it anymore, but when I was, it didn't evolve much.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, also in Fortnite, they have the Terminator now. The Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator skin in the game. And they had a different Terminator pack before with what's her name that I can't remember?
Dawkins, is that her last name?
No. Dawkins?
I don't know. I thought that was the actress's last name.
I don't think so. No.
You're talking from one of the movies, or
the very first Terminator.
the TX?
Or actually, I think her
Kristanna Loken. That was the, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but that was the actress's name. The Terminatrix, the TX. That was in Terminator 3, the first female Terminator.
I am not Sarah Connor. There we go.
Saying it over and over again.
Luke Lore with the save. Yes, Sarah Connor is correct. Right. That was the name I was.
Your description sucked.
Looking for. Okay, they had from Terminator 2, Sarah Connor and like the T-1000
and Terminator 1. Just so you know, she was in the first one as well.
Well, she's in the
kind of a main character.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But they had her in the. She doesn't have the perm in the Fortnite skin that she has in Terminator 1.
That's true. She did have quite a perm.
She's wearing the cap and has the sunglasses from Terminator 2, right?
Yeah.
They finally have the Schwarzenegger.
But who had the burly beef?
What's that?
But who had the burly beef?
What are you talking
from
about?
The first Terminator. You need to watch the Terminator. She was a waitress.
Oh, I knew that.
Terminator. And she screws up the order when she's waiting tables, and at one point she's trying to give somebody a dish called the burly beef, and nobody ordered it.
Oh.
You know what? You know who'd know this?
Phil.
Well,
Phil's not here. Phil's doing personal stuff.
Family Guy stuff.
Family stuff. Yeah. So anyway, Terminator is in Fortnite, and I bought that too.
This was a long segment about the fact that Terminator's in Fortnite.
Well, it was not a good week for my V-Buck wallet, let's just say.
Jesus.
On that. Also, the 10th season of Sea of Thieves got delayed. They announced that.
This outline is the worst.
I know, right? Oh, but anyway, I won't talk about that.
Why was it delayed? No, why was it delayed?
Because they're working on features that apparently it's going to take them longer to implement than they thought. So they have to push it back.
Have they already said what the features are?
They have not. They have not said what the features are. So it's very mysterioso there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to whenever. There's enough other games to play.
Introducing a single player campaign. That's what it's going to be.
The Legend of Monkey Island is basically that in Sea of Thieves. So
we should play that sometime.
Check your Discord messages.
Oh, I do.
I would like to. And what is it? Your friend Vanna Dwight messaged me and is like, look at Greg's status. He's playing Sea of Thieves.
That wasn't.
I was
me.
like, that's not Greg. Yeah,
no.
Exactly.
My son has really gotten into it lately. Every time I go down to the den now, he's playing. I'll bet you he's down there playing it right now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It's a good game.
I don't disagree.
It's a good game. But anyway, let's talk about PlayStation Plus for a second here, because we have some titles coming in August. One of them is Dreams, which is Media Molecule's game making application for the PS4, which I think everybody should check out, because they really have like done a lot since the game first came out to make it easier than ever to like make your own stuff. And as part of that, they announced a game within a game for Dreams called Tren. It's like a toy train set kind of building game where you can build tracks for this toy train set. And very similar to some of the things that they've added into Dreams in the last couple of years, they give you like templates, right? That you can like build and manipulate yourself. So you can like make tracks yourself for that game. When I hopped into Dreams, there was like a side-scrolling shooter thing that you could like use this sort of template and add cool things to, and like make your own shooter level. And they have like a bunch of things like that now, so you can like pick the style of game that you like and then make a game and feel this sort of accomplishment of making a game without having to do all of the things yourself. I think that's kind of what Dreams felt like at the beginning. It's like you're giving somebody Photoshop and here, go have fun drawing something in Photoshop. And it's like, well, this is a really powerful tool and I wish I could use it, but I don't know how to do that. So like Dreams now is giving you like sort of pre-built pieces that you can, still have fun making something and not feel like it's going to take you weeks or months to make a game. Right. So pretty cool. So that's part of the August lineup. And you also get Death's Door for PS5 and PS4. Have you played that
no
Devolver game? It's kind of a Zelda-ish experience. So that might be worth your time as well. And PGA Tour 2K23, which
made right here in Nova Scotia.
Who cares about that game?
Wow.
I like golf games. I'm just kidding.
No, you don't.
I do.
Just because you like hot shots doesn't mean you like golf games. Oh, sorry. Everybody's Golf.
Yeah, that's called Everybody's Golf now, and Mario Golf Super Rush.
Minano
Golf. Yeah.
Pretty proud of the fact that I knew that. But yeah, PGA Tour 2K3 is made here in Nova Scotia.
Nice.
That's the company I used to work at.
HBC. Well, there you go. There you go. Should we talk about what we've been playing?
I just did.
I feel like you already did that.
Yeah. I did.
So I could go into my what you've been playing.
All right. I'll listen.
You want to hear it?
Yeah. I'm here. Got nothing better to do.
Well, I've been playing Pikmin 4 a whole bunch.
Oh, yes, right. Now that you're back, this is the Pikmin conversation that we weren't going to have with Phil and I because neither of us play it.
Well, let me ask you this, Greg. What has stopped you from playing Pikmin in the past?
I mean, it's cute. I played the first one for I think a pretty long amount of time. Actually, I thought it was really cute. It's not. I don't know. It's not a game that I feel compelled to keep playing. And I think I own Pikmin 2 because that was back in the, well, I have the first one, I should probably buy the second one because that makes perfect sense. And
of course it does.
But then when I got sort of over that early life crisis, yeah, I don't dislike them. They're cute. They're good games, but they don't do anything for me. So I just never felt the need to buy 3 or 4.
Okay. Well, like the first 2 games have a bit of time pressure because you only have X number of days to do everything and escape, right? And Nintendo, at least, I think, thinks that's part of the reason why people didn't want to play Pikmin.
Really?
And they might be right. Like Pikmin 3 was very lenient on its time limit. You had the only thing you were really limited by, if I remember correctly, is like your supply of juice, which is like the sort of survival rations that you could continue on the planet as long as you had rations. And Pikmin 4, I see you clicking on some other tab. Are you
Mhm.
reading Facebook while we're talking?
No, I'm
That's
done with
not
that.
allowed.
I'm on
That
YouTube.
is not allowed. Okay. Well, this one is much more, Pikmin 4 is much more lenient with that. There's no time limit on how many days you can spend in the game. So you can really, in the main campaign, explore and not feel there's still a day night cycle. I don't know if you remember from the original Pikmin. You land in the morning, and as the day
Oh,
progresses,
yeah, right.
like when it gets dark, you have to get all your Pikmin back to the ship and
Right.
leave to like not kill all of them. And it still has that. So there still is that time cycle. But as long as you get all your Pikmin back to the ship and leave, there's no time limit. Like you can come back the next day and just continue on with what you were doing. And they've added some of the things that they started doing in Pikmin 3 as like bonus modes as part of the main gameplay in Pikmin 4. So while the game itself is very chill, very explore the world type of thing, you have these Dandori levels. Dandori is like the art of getting things done efficiently.
Okay.
And that's what they call it in the game. Like you have like a list of tasks, and you have to like divide and conquer uh, all of your tasks. And so they call it Dandori battles and Dandori challenges in Pikmin 4. Basically, you go up against like an AI character and try to collect as many things as possible in like a time limit, and you have to do more than the AI is able to do in that time limit, and you have to kind of divide and conquer with your dog companion. Ochi is the dog, and you can use Ochi as like a second commander in the game, and you can swap between your player character, which is you in this game, and Ochi, and try to first of all make as many Pikmin as you can, and then get those Pikmin to bring as many earthly items back to the ship as possible. And you can do things like mess up the enemy team, like by sending more Pikmin than they have carrying a strawberry, for instance, and like steal items from them. So that's kind of fun. And then the caves from Pikmin 2 return in this one. So when you are exploring the world, you'll run into a cave, and you can go down there, and it's sort of like a
in
dungeon.
Zelda.
It's a dungeon. Yeah. They've added dungeons to the wrong game, apparently.
Yeah.
Add them to Pikmin 4. And these are sort of multi-level dungeons where you're given like a set number of certain types of Pikmin, and you have to use those to kind of get all the way through the dungeon. And they can be like 4 or more levels deep.
So is that like in each dungeon you're given a limited amount of Pikmin, or
Yeah,
you just have okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it kind of gives you a preset number, and same with the Dandori stuff. They don't use your pool of Pikmin from the outer campaign at all.
Okay.
You get a certain amount.
Not gonna lie, every time you say Dandori, all I can hear is Dandormer.
Dandormer battles.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sounds like the first 2 years of the show.
Yeah, but it also the game gives you a bunch of like mini tasks and things to unlock new powers for Ochi. You can upgrade Ochi. You can upgrade your own commander. Give yourself like a faster move speed, and you can give the dog different abilities, like being able to swim across water and be able to swim faster and be able to destroy enemies, like things like that. So there's all this progression happening while you're playing too, and it feels like this is the perfect rendition of Pikmin, because it's using all of the things that were great about some of the previous games and really making it an easy experience for someone who has never played a Pikmin game to enjoy it, because there's no time limit on it. You can actually rewind time in this game. So I don't know if you remember in the original Pikmin games, you'd be going up against a boss and you'd lose like half your Pikmin. And that usually like more. Yeah, that usually like feels pretty bad, right? to lose all of your Pikmin in one go, or to like do something wrong momentarily that hampers your enjoyment of the game. Well, now you can rewind, and the game sort of smartly suggests like time intervals to rewind. So if it knows that you just lost half your Pikmin, it'll be like rewind to like 1 minute or 2 minutes prior. Or you can rewind to the beginning of the day, and it's like nothing ever happened. It's great. It's like Groundhog Day all over. Yeah. That movie, Groundhog Day?
Never saw it.
You've never seen Groundhog Day?
Nope.
What? Greg.
I saw What About Bob?
Groundhog Day is a classic. You got to watch that. But anyway, yeah, Pikmin 4, everything about it is amazing. It's a super chill experience. It looks great. It's an Unreal Engine 4 game.
Isn't everything at this point, or everything will be very soon? I mean, that Unreal Engine is crazy.
You don't often get Nintendo games that are using Unreal.
That's what I mean, but that's just it. Like, because I think, has Microsoft, Halo hasn't switched to Unreal yet.
No, but I think they're
talking about it. Yeah,
they're talking about it.
I was watching, I don't follow this stuff too closely anymore, but there's another YouTube channel that I watch called Gamers, and they do like mini documentaries on sort of the history of different series and stuff like that. And they did one recently on Halo. They were talking about basically what went wrong with Halo Infinite. And at one point they mentioned how they were talking about switching to Unreal. Yeah. And now you're saying how here's a first party Nintendo game that's in Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, have times ever changed? Like it used to be, like you think back to things like the Metal Gear games and stuff. And it's like, well, it's because we have this amazing engine that we spent all this money and time to develop to do exactly what we needed to do. Yeah. And now it's like Unreal is just so super powerful. Yeah, that it's in everything, and like even the big boys are all using it. It's crazy.
Well, there's still some holdouts.
Yeah,
Capcom uses the RE engine for everything now, pretty much. EA is still using their own.
Oh, Frostbite.
Generally, yeah, Frostbite. Ubisoft, I think, also does their own thing. I forget what the Assassin's Creed.
I feel like Ubisoft might be the next one to
fall.
Turn. Yeah,
possible, but
not necessarily fall, but to just at least turn.
Part of it
struggling a lot, right?
You have to pay royalties to,
which would be why they
Epic,
don't want to do it. Yeah,
based on how much your game sells. So that's why the AAA space, they don't really use those engines because.
But I mean, it's not like building an engine is cheap.
You're right. You're right. And it's not like those AAA publishers couldn't go to Epic and work out some kind of sweetheart deal, right?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so Pikmin 4 is what I've been spending a lot of time playing. I think I'm on day 23 or 24. Pikmin 4. But I've been
just going back to that Unreal thing for just a sec, because it was something that when I heard that, the other thing that came to mind, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but one of the earliest issues of Next Generation magazine, I don't know if you were a reader,
I was,
they loved putting screenshots on their cover, and they looked great, but one of the screenshots was Unreal. It was a screen of the first Unreal game. And I think the headline was something like "Best looking game of all," or "Will games ever look better than this," or something like that. Which, in hindsight, is laughable because
you never say that phrase. Games will never look better than this. Never say that.
It looked really good for the time, right? But I mean, obviously, it was never going to hold up, and it's sort of laughable now if you look at that and you read that headline. It's just kind of ridiculous because I mean, it's such a low poly image, but at the same time, here we are, 2023. And Unreal Engine's being used in movies, and and that
Matrix
was the
thing.
Yeah, that was the seed. So
yeah, it was.
It's kind of funny.
It is.
That's just where my mind went, because I had just been going through issues of Next Generation for a video on my YouTube channel, and I saw that cover. It's like, oh yeah, I remember this.
Is that the one with the pink? Is it because there's a couple covers in the early days of Next Generation that use screenshots and are they almost say, "Can you believe it? This is a screenshot that you're looking at."
There was one from
there's one that's
Fade
pink.
to Black.
Maybe that's
No, that wasn't pink. Okay. I mean, I could go get my magazines and we could figure it out. I'm sure that would be fun to listen to. But yeah, it's and there was one, I think, I don't know if it was a screenshot, but Wipeout was definitely on the cover at 1.2, and I think it was a screenshot. Oh, Destruction Derby was on a cover as well.
Yeah,
and they were all screens.
Screenshots really don't look great as covers for magazines.
You know what? Next Generation made them look great.
I guess so.
First couple years of that magazine were stunning.
Yeah. You know which magazine had some terrible covers?
EGM.
Man,
that whole Street Fighter Mortal Kombat run where they did like how many like I think even if you just say Street Fighter and or Mortal Kombat being on the cover on EGM, the number is staggering in the 90s. But I think it would even be surprising at the amount of how many of those covers had both of them on there in some form.
But they were super popular at the same time.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that they're still so popular today. Street Fighter 6 and Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 1. Yeah, exactly. That's so crazy. And Ed Boon is still banging the drum for Mortal Kombat. That's crazy. Yeah. You think about that's 30 years of your career in games on one property.
Good for him.
It's amazing, yeah. Although I guess he's also done other.
Well, I mean, he left for a while, didn't he? He wasn't involved in all the Mortal Kombat games.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. Because wasn't he doing fighting games for another company for a while? And then I think when Mortal Kombat kind of had its resurgence is when he came back. I
don't think so. The case. But maybe.
What do you know?
Right. I don't know these things. I don't know. But hey, Pikmin 4, play it because it's awesome. And I like it a lot. And I want it to sell well, so buy it. I've also been playing Exoprimal.
Sounds like a PlayStation 2 game.
It does, doesn't it? This is Capcom's dinosaur combat game. Have you followed this at all? It's a dinosaur shooter. No. Do you remember when it was in like a couple like PlayStation presentations where anyway, dinosaurs fall from the sky and you shoot them in sort of mechanized suits. That's the premise of the game. That's like the key visual of the game. And this is on Game Pass. So I had heard some positive things about it and was like, I'm up for a shooter. Let's try this. Let's try putting lead into some dinosaurs.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're not putting it in, you're pumping it in.
Okay. Pump some dinos full of lead.
There you go.
You like that? Make them extinct all over again. Anyway, yeah, this is a pretty fun game. It is a competitive PvE game. Do you know what that means, Greg?
Person versus something starting with E.
That's player versus environment, Greg.
Okay.
Now stop looking at YouTube. See you. I see those wandering eyes.
I'm looking at Instagram, not YouTube.
Well, Instagram.
YouTube would take too much concentration.
That's true, but you shouldn't look at Instagram either. You should pay attention to what I have to say about this dinosaur game. Greg.
God. Listen, I played Turok in the 90s.
That's all you need. Yeah.
That's all any of us need.
Well, there's a dinosaur crisis, you see. And only you.
Do they run a space station?
Was Dino Crisis not on a space station? Did we talk about this?
Dino Crisis 3
is on a space
station. The one that was on Xbox was like that weird, the dinosaurs have evolved and they're scientists and stuff like that.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Right, you're right. This was not called Dino Crisis, but there is a Dino Crisis happening that you are involved in.
God.
What this is a competitive PvE game, player versus environment. And what competitive PvE is. It's you matchmake into a team of 5 players, and you were up against another team of 5 players.
Sounds awful.
And you have to eradicate dinosaurs faster than the other team does, and then you were brought to like a final challenge, which in this game is sort of randomized. Sometimes it's a PvP sort of thing where you are actively in the same like environment as your opposing team, and sometimes it's a PvE challenge where you never actually see the other team. You're just trying to eradicate dinosaurs faster than they can again. And there are some other game types as well in there, and apparently later on in the game, I've not run into this yet, you actually team up with the other team, so it's a 10-player, everybody's doing the same thing, like fighting a boss at the end, and if everybody's able to do it, everyone wins. So that's, I love it. Cool. Yeah,
participation trophies. I'm all for it.
Participation trophy, but this is a pretty fun game. Like a lot of hero shooters, there's sort of 3 classes. There's your DPS, there's a tank, then there's a support class. So I'm playing a lot of support in this, which means, you know, dropping health regenerated items and radiuses and all that from a team, and killing dinosaurs and getting to the end and leveling up and all of that good competitive sort of live servicey type thing. But it's a lot of fun. It's sort of ripped from the headlines because an AI has taken over this island. And
I thought you were going to say it's ripped from the headlines and that has something to do with the dinosaurs.
The dinosaurs.
Like, what?
Yeah. No, it's an evil AI that has taken over and sort of walled off this island. Like, think Macross Island, Greg.
Okay, you got, wait a minute. Hang on. Let me just shut down YouTube. I want to listen to what you have to say.
So this evil AI has taken over this island and created like a time warp sort of situation, and
like in Dragon's Lair 2,
making groups of humans fight these dinosaurs in sort of combat simulations. For what purpose? Who knows? I'm sure it's so that Capcom can run a live service game that is a repeatable loop. That's the reason. But it also, I'm gonna talk about Speed Devils here for a second, because Speed Devils, as you will remember,
okay, yep, you're just going down, you're just checking off every box. Keep going.
Yeah, from back in the day, Speed Devils Online, you may remember, had like a progression. Even though we were playing online, there was like a story to it.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of similar in the way that you're playing matches online, but it's also progressing a story that you can watch cutscenes of. And there's a story to it, even though you're playing the same match over and over again at the same type of multiplayer match. Your story is progressing differently than the other people in your in your match might be.
Okay.
You finish a match and maybe there's a cutscene after, or maybe there's like a little thing to read that unlocks or whatever, like different pieces of lore in the Exo
Luke lore.
But it's also super cheeseball. You know those Japanese games of the PS2 era that had incomprehensible stories and pretty bad English voice acting, and you loved them anyway?
Disaster Report.
Yeah, exactly. This is kind of right in that sweet spot where the story is ridiculous, the voice acting is pretty terrible. Earth Defense Force, yes. But there's a bit of like tongue-in-cheek. It knows how batshit crazy it is, and it's also, you're part of this
it's in on the joke. Yeah,
team. It's in on the joke in a maybe Guardians of the Galaxy-ish way as well, which I don't know. It just is. It's compelling. It's interesting, and it is a live service game, but it's a competitive PvE game. So there's a little bit less pressure to like do well in a game like this.
Sounds like it's made for me.
I know. It's made for me too, right? Because the minute you get into like a ranked Overwatch match and somebody yells at you because you're not plain right. You just want to
Yep.
delete everything and stop gaming altogether.
Yep, absolutely. Or you just don't play those games.
This is really not that type of game, I think. Although I can imagine in later levels people getting upset. But yeah, it's just really fun, and it's free on Game Pass. It is a full-priced $60 game, and it does have a paid battle pass, which is really off-putting, I think, on other platforms. I'm playing it on Game Pass, so
I might check it out because I mean that does sound cool. You sold me on it.
Okay,
I have
good.
to say, like the way you described that. Normally, I tune you out. Half the time, you're not talking about things I'm interested in.
Yeah.
No offense. I consider you a wonderful friend, but you know,
we don't
have the
like
same taste
a
in
lot
games.
of the same. You're exactly right. We don't exactly have the same taste in games. You're right.
but I'm yeah, cool.
But this is kind of fun, and I have roped
you have me at free.
I've roped Mike into playing it as well. So your best friend Mike is also playing Exoprimal.
Oh well, see, now you're ruining it.
Okay. Well, you can join us. You can be in our party, and we can fight dinosaurs together. Haven't you always wanted to do that?
Can we be in a separate party from Mike?
No. Well, we probably could. We probably could.
We'll see.
It is cross-platform. However, you can't make a party with people on different platforms. So it's on Steam, it's on PlayStation, it's on Xbox, but they don't. And you can play versus those platforms, but you can't like have a party that is made of.
Oh, so it's an extension of the console wars.
Steam. Correct. Yeah. The evil AI is also taking a stand in the console wars. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, that's Exoprimal. A fantastic game where you shoot dinosaurs in the
sequel to Exo Manowar.
And they, when you initially start playing, they have a pretty standard progression of dinosaurs, and later on they introduce sort of mutated larger dinosaurs, and it gets kind of crazy. But anyway, it's fun.
Oh, we should try. We should play it.
We should. I'm also playing The Expanse. This is a Telltale adventure.
Yeah,
game.
I need to play this. Is this the one that Darren Gladstone worked on?
It is the
one
that Darren Gladstone worked on.
Darren Gladstone, of course, back in the day, was a freelancer who did work for, I think, almost every game magazine at some point or another. But he did work for SCDGM, and I know he's been working on a Telltale game, but I wasn't sure if that was it.
It is The Expanse, yeah. This is a game that's based on a series of science fiction books and also TV series of the same name that I think they did some new episodes of on Amazon Prime Video. I don't know if it's been canceled, but this game is allegedly set before the show. So you can kind of, if you've never seen the show, which I have not, or read the books, which I have not either, you can kind of onboard with this Telltale game. And The Expanse is one of my brother's favorite series. So I was kind of interested.
TV series, or was he into the books too?
TV series, yeah.
Okay.
So I was kind of interested from that perspective, like,
sure.
This would be fun to kind of see what it's all about. So I picked up The Expanse. I bought the whole season. It is just like other Telltale games, broken up into episodes. However, they already have a release date for all of the episodes. So
here's hoping they stick to it.
Every 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. That's awesome.
Every 2 weeks. So this will be good. And I think they will make that. So this is developed by Deck Nine, who has done a lot of the sort of Life is Strange offshoots as well. So I think they are going to be able to hit the deadlines on all of this.
That's great, because I always said, I love the idea of the episodic game. And I mean, when Telltale first started releasing stuff, I was all in. But the lack of any sort of release cadence killed my interest after a while.
It killed it completely. I agree. Yeah. But I loved that first Walking Dead series.
Oh God, yeah.
I have such a great memory
of playing that. Yeah.
Yeah. And was kind of in the mood for something similar to that. So I picked up The Expanse. And I think they are using a different engine now. It's not, there's no
Yeah, their engine was pretty clunky.
Yeah, there's no jank in this.
It's probably Unreal. If not, it should
It
be.
probably is, or Unity. I'm not exactly sure. But I won't spoil any of it, but I had a lot of fun. It's about 90 minutes long in the first episode, so not too bad. Like, it's just enough to get you the setting and the characters and like the main conflict of the game,
Okay.
or of the story. So you are on a ship and you are convinced to go and try to raid a ship that got destroyed. For you're being convinced to like scavenge it because it's got something valuable on it, and there's a whole nefarious person involved who knows more than he let on about the ship, and there's a lot of fun choices to be made. Of course, it's a Telltale game, so anytime you make a choice, the other character will remember that into later chapters of the game, I'm sure. And there are a couple things, like The Walking Dead and like other Telltale games, when you've completed it, gives you the rundown of, okay, here's the percentage of players that did this or that thing, so you can kind of look through. And there are multiple save files, so if you decide you want to go back and redo some things, or search the environments more, there's a lot of that in this particular episode. You can do that. So if you wanted to sort of 100% it, you could do that 100% the chapter. I did not do that yet, but
I always found that, I don't know, one of the things that I loved about the Telltale games, I never went back and replayed, but I just loved sort of the, playing it and whatever happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you miss something, you miss something.
I feel that way too.
Yeah, I might pick this up because I knew it was coming, and it's funny because I follow Darren and I forget her name, but one of the producers on they're both friends on Facebook, and I know that they've been sort of doing the rounds, and because the game was ready to be released or had launched, and it didn't click with me that I should probably go pick it up and play it because I do want to play it. So yeah, I might do that. It might be a good, good 90-minute reprieve from Zelda.
There you go. Weeks. Yeah.
Also, would love to know though, because that just makes me wonder, when are we getting Wolf Among Us 2?
I think it was by far my favorite Telltale game.
I think it did, but that was like by far my favorite Telltale series, and that's saying a lot because I really liked a lot of their games.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that'll happen eventually.
By the way, they are still using their own engine.
Are they really? Is the Expanse in their own engine?
Yes. So it's definitely been upgraded.
Yeah. Well, this is not janky like Walking Dead was janky. And wasn't the Wolf Among Us janky too?
I found we talked about it a lot on the show. I found that as the years went by, the games, from a technical standpoint, were getting worse and worse. They were trying to do things that it seemed clear the engine was not built to do. It just struggled with, and because I remember the last, and I don't remember what the last few were that we were really playing as a group, or at least two of us were playing. But I remember saying, like, it's really time to just take a step back, and if you're going to keep using this engine, it needs to be it desperately needs work. Or like you said, switch to Unity, or nowadays switch to Unreal.
Yeah.
But
well, they fixed it up somehow.
Well, that's good.
Or maybe Deck 9 is just that good.
Could also be the case.
Yeah. I've also tried a couple games that I'll just talk about briefly here. There's a game called My Friendly Neighborhood that came out on Steam a couple weeks back, and I downloaded the demo of this and played it on Steam Deck on one of my flights back to Seattle. This is, think of Sesame Street.
Okay.
But a horror version of Sesame Street.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it ends up you are a repairman who is summoned to the studio that makes My Friendly Neighborhood, aka Sesame Street, because while the show went off the air years ago, now they have taken over, like the pirate signal has taken over like the local TV channel, and they're broadcasting episodes of My Friendly Neighborhood, and you were sent to investigate. And it turns out that the puppets have murderous intent on
So
you.
it's Five Nights at Freddy's.
I guess it's similar. I've never played Five Nights at Freddy's. Isn't that more?
Isn't that Chuck E. Cheese wants to murder you? Like that's basically Five Nights at Freddy's, I thought.
Yeah. So maybe
I really don't know. I never played it either, but my son was really. I don't know. It's weird. That generation, a lot of them I think haven't played it, but they all know it.
They all know it.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Fazbear.
Yeah.
But this has more of a Resident Evil vibe to it. There's puzzle gameplay in it, very similar to sort of a Resident Evil in terms of the environmental puzzles and having to like collect items and then combine them. And also the inventory system is Resident Evil, basically. Like the briefcase opens up and you have slots that you can put things into. And when you shoot the puppets, you have to restrain them with tape. And if you don't restrain them, they respawn when you come back through the room. It is very disturbing. And what's even more disturbing is like they are doing things that are just super freaky, like banging their heads against walls while talking about the alphabet. Things like that. And I'm like, oh my God, this is super freaky. Or like how much they want to be your friends and all that nonsense. There was one jump scare that really got me in the demo where the lights went off, and then I had only gone up against like a few puppets in any one room, but suddenly there were like 12 puppets on my tail, and I was like, oh shit. It made me jump because they all fell into the room at the same time. And I don't think the people next to me appreciated my jump and my yell, my oh shit. Yeah. But anyway, this looks fun. I was playing the demo, but I might have to pick it up at some point. I was playing the demo on Steam Deck and having a lot of fun with it. I've also been playing Dave the Diver a bunch.
I keep seeing videos of that.
It's so good. So good. I picked up Tents and Trees. This was a suggestion from a listener, Rob, who I think pinged all of us on Twitter or whatever it's called now, and said, hey, you
Big Obnoxious Sign. I think that's what it's called now.
Big Obnoxious Sign. You like Picross, you should check this game out. And it's only $1.99 on the eShop. So Tents and Trees is the name of it. And it is really kind of fun. You know, it works in a sort of Picross style where it sort of gives you a grid and gives you numbers on that grid. And it's telling you how many tents are in that row or column. And you have to place trees. Actually, trees are already placed. You have to place tents next to trees, but there are rules when it comes to where they can be placed. Like they can't be placed tents cannot be placed next to each other directly or diagonally next to each other.
Yeah.
And you have to basically follow exactly the patterns that are shown by the numbers. So if it says there's 2 tents in this particular column, you have to only put 2 in that column.
Okay.
And so it's sort of a pictogram, nonogram sort of puzzler with like hundreds of puzzles. And it's pretty chill for sure. But if you like Picross at all, I think you will really like Tents and Trees. And it's an indie developed game. Looks nice, plays really well. And it's only $1.99. You can probably use your gold points on the eShop to pick it up for free, really.
Might have to look at that too then.
Yeah, I think it's worth it.
I'm sure I've played a board game that has exactly those rules.
You probably have.
Yeah.
And I also picked up Disney's Illusion Island.
Yeah, I'm interested in this one.
So this is by Delilah Studios, who did Battletoads before this. And it's sort of based on the current, I think they just ended Mickey Mouse shorts that Disney was putting out.
I forget the name of the style, but it's a much more modern art style.
It's a much more modern art style. Yeah, that's true. And this is a cooperative platforming Metroidvania.
Yeah.
And so I played this a bit yesterday with my daughter and one of my daughter's friends, and we really had a lot of fun with it. We played 3 players, and there's no combat whatsoever in this game.
Yeah, I've heard
It's
that. Yeah.
just platforming. And
There are enemies though. You just have to avoid them, right?
there are enemies, yes, and you have to avoid them. And there are also like projectiles that you have to avoid. So it's
Right.
not like, yeah, it's not completely a cakewalk or anything like that. But and you can also set up the difficulty, so you can set how many hearts you have, how many hits you can take, and whether you take any hits at all. You can just completely remove that from the
Oh,
experience where you
cool.
can't die at all if you want. And I was having a lot of fun with it. Player 1 is the one that controls the camera. I don't know if you've ever
Okay.
played sort of 4-player platformers at any
I
point.
mean, probably,
It can
but
get pretty wild with which player the camera is centered on
Mhm.
and like who goes outside the screen and how that works. So it worked pretty well, especially because I was player 1. So I was always focused in the camera. But my daughter sometimes likes to run ahead,
Yes, you've mentioned
and
this before.
it didn't work out too well
I seem to remember
for
you
her.
talking about playing Lego games with her and
Yeah,
having the same kind of
she likes
issue
to. She
where you're
just wants
trying to
to
find all the
progress. She
studs
doesn't.
and yeah.
She does not want to do the secret areas. Yeah.
Right, right.
But then like I could do things like wait for her friend to pass a certain screen. So my daughter is, well, off the screen, and her friend had fallen, not made the jump or whatever. So I would wait and it would be on that screen still. So it actually worked out really well. I think, having played games like Super Mario 3D World in multiplayer and even Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe in multiplayer, like that can get really hard to do, because as soon as they're off the screen in those games, they turn into a bubble and like float back or
Mhm.
whatever. Like it can get really uh and in those games, I don't think whoever the player is that's in the lead pushes the camera forward.
Okay.
So it's a little different. This seems to work pretty well though. Um, and there are a ton of respawn points as well. Like my daughter and her friend were dying a lot, and it's like the checkpoints would respawn you. So, and there's a bit of a cooperative aspect in it, like the pickups that you, like the health regen pickups, give health regeneration to everybody, all players.
Okay.
So no matter who picks it up, y'all get it, and I
So
like
there's no
that.
fight over who gets.
No fight over who
It's
gets
not
what.
like in Streets of Rage where we all know there's an apple in that paper
That
box.
mailbox.
But who needs it the most?
Exactly. Yeah, it's not like that at all. Everybody gets it. So that's pretty cool.
Sounds like communism, but keep going.
Right. But also each character you can pick between Goofy, Donald, Mickey, and Minnie, and they all get like their own versions of power-ups. So you get like a double jump and each one gets their own version of that. You get a wall jump and each one gets their own version of that. The cool thing, Donald Duck, his wall
I heard
jump
about this.
is a plunger.
Oh,
And it's
Quackshot.
just like Quackshot. Yes, Quackshot
Yeah.
reference.
Love it.
Quackshot, one of my all-time favorite
Oh, Quackshot was a great game.
games. I love that game. And it was fun to see the plunger make a return for Donald in this game. But yeah, it's sort of a fun little Metroidvania and exploration game. It has a huge, absolutely huge map that you can check at any time. And yes, I'm having a super fun time with it.
And it's relatively cheap, right? Like it's
It
not a full
is
price game.
$40.
Right.
Yeah.
Just still like $50 here, I think. But
So it's not like budget priced. It's not like uh something you just buy on a whim.
so you were playing multiplayer
Mm-hmm.
on the Switch?
On the Switch. It's Switch exclusive.
Okay, well then that's why then. So you weren't playing across multiple Switches though? You were all playing on one screen, obviously.
All playing on one screen, yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. And so you can play with just a single Joy-Con then? How are you doing it?
I don't know, actually. I gave those 2 Pro controllers, and then I had the Joy-Con in the little holder. So
okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious because I saw Victor Lucas's review of this game as well, and he basically you've basically echoed everything that he said. He really likes it a lot. And it looks like something that would be fun to play with the kids. So how is it? Have you played it single player? Is it any good single player? Or
I have not played it single player at all. No, just my daughter and her friend were playing, and they couldn't land on a game they wanted to play together. So I was like, all right, we're going to try Illusion Island because that just came out and it's multiplayer platforming. I'd heard good things. The reviews were positive. So let's try that out. And yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah, it looks super cute.
It is. And the animation is fantastic. Like it really looks good too.
Yeah.
And Delilah Studios did that Battletoads reboot, which also looked great. Although I think that had its own problems.
Yeah, it did.
Battletoads.
Kind of keeping up the tradition there, but
yeah. This really, really fun. Yeah. Anyway, that's
very
all
cool. It sounds awesome. It looks really good. I'd like to try it. I don't know that I want to. I don't know if my kids would be into it. My youngest might be into it, but I might wait on that because I'm sure that's a game that we'll see a discount.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
So I might wait on it.
I don't think it's done exceedingly well. I mean, it's only been out for a few days, but I haven't seen like a lot of buzz about the game. I think
me neither. I didn't even know it existed until I saw Victor had released a review of it.
I mean, it was in some Nintendo Directs.
Yeah.
So people knew about it, but I don't think it's necessarily like setting the world on fire, unfortunately. But it's a really busy time for games just in general.
Right.
So there's so much stuff out.
I was glad to hear though, because the Disney kart racing game that just recently came out was Speedstorm was such a mess. Yeah. That it was nice to hear that this was sort of really simple. You're not being hit with a million, all the trappings of free to play.
No.
And so.
Yeah, and it has a lot of collectibles, a lot of fun stuff, and everything's kind of shown on the map that you explore. Yeah, and hidden Mickeys too.
Pictures of hidden Mickeys. I love that. That's such a fun. I don't know if you've ever done that, but going to like one of the parks and looking for hidden Mickeys is a fun.
Of course.
Fun thing to do.
Of course it is. Yes. Well, should we do tweets?
We should, but we're gonna need a new song because they're X's now.
I know.
And they're toots and whatever blue skies are called. And
the other thing about that
threads.
is, now that Twitter is not ubiquitous for social media, there's like where does the P1 podcast account?
We should go back to voicemail.
We should just go back to voicemails. I put out a call for questions on all the services that we're on, which include X, Mastodon, and Blue Sky. We're on Blue Sky now.
I think that we should ask our community
where they would prefer
a name. No, to come up with a name for what we call this segment.
Oh,
and then I know we've got some musicians in our community. Maybe somebody could, put together a little jingle. One less reason to keep Phil around.
There you go.
See, so everybody wins.
Everybody wins indeed.
I love that you're checking your phone.
I am, because here's the other problem, Phil. I mean, Greg.
I'm not Phil. Wow.
Your name is.
Wow. You piece of garbage.
I was thinking of Phil because of the tweet song.
Post this. Pony Express. That's how we should do it.
Pony Express. the what was I saying? The thing is, so mobile apps, if you're talking about Threads, there's no web app, so I have to use my phone.
Yes.
Blue Sky, there is a web app for that. And Twitter, I don't like.
I don't understand with Threads why they wouldn't release a apparently they are going to release a desktop app, but it seems weird to me that they didn't. But anyway,
I think they're kind of
really
flying
annoying
by the seat of their pants, like putting out anything as it's
Right.
ready, right? All right, let's do this one from listener Maddie, who asks, is there a video game the three of you would play with each other if there was no hassle, like time problems, lack of co-op, or platform issues, to play it together?
I mean, we've played. Well, I don't know if Phil ever has, but I mean, we've played Sea of Thieves together, and
We have, yeah, we played Sea of Thieves together.
CJ and I. Now we're talking like 16 or 17 years ago now.
Oh,
used to play a lot of Burnout together. A lot of Burnout.
That's where the show.
That was the birth of the show. Yeah.
This show was birthed from Burnout.
Yes, we are the afterbirth of Burnout.
That's right. What about Sonic Superstars? When that comes out, are we going to play that together? That's multiplayer. Is it an online game? I'm not sure.
I have no idea.
But it is 4-player simultaneous.
Online?
I'm not sure about that part.
I mean, can our 56K modems keep up with a Sonic game?
Gotta go fast.
We used to, and I kind of miss. We don't really do this anymore, and I do kind of miss this, but I also understand why we don't do it because, again, we all kind of play our games at different speeds. But actually, talking about I think the Telltale Walking Dead was the first time we really did this, where we were all playing it at the same time, and where those games were episodic and they were short. Each episode was short.
Yeah.
There was never any question that we would play through whatever episode had been released in time for the next show.
Should we do that for The Expanse?
I'm happy to do that. I don't know if Phil will do it or not, but but it was great because then we had we put all those conversations together into a big spoiler cast.
We did.
Which was awesome. And then we did that a few more times, and former co-host Mike Phillips kind of went off and did that on his own a few times as well, where he put that all together.
Yeah.
But I know that's probably not what the question is really referencing, but still, that's what it made me think of.
Yeah. In the chat, Luke Lore mentions Shredder's Revenge. We actually did play Shredder's Revenge all together.
Hey, you know what?
With some other people who used to be on the show too. 6
players in Shredder's Revenge is too many.
It's too many. Yeah, we did have a little bit of a problem. We played with it was us 3, C-Bake, Greg Ford, and Ethan. That was fun. We haven't gone back to it and done it since.
It really, honestly, I'm not kidding when I say 6 players was too many. There was too much going on at once.
Yeah, but they're adding even more stuff to that game, more characters to that game. So,
yeah, they should get rid of the taunting. That's the other thing that ruined that game.
I thought they changed it.
Did they change it? I don't know.
I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should play Exoprimal together too. And there's no reason not to because it's on Game Pass and we all have Game Pass. So there you go.
There's no reason not to play Sea of Thieves together. We barely ever do that.
Well, that is true too. That's true too. We should.
I mean, if a Monkey Island expansion is not enough to get Phil to play Sea of Thieves,
this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Yeah. Although, so I played a very little bit of the Monkey Island expansion for Sea of Thieves. You are like placed in the shared world, and then you have to sail to a portal to get to the Monkey Island stuff.
The Melee Island.
I do wonder if Phil would be able to do that without just turning off the game.
I mean, sailing somewhere with you is fine because I just stand on the what's the front of the ship, DJ?
Bow
the bow?
Yeah, the bow.
Oh, is that what it's? Jesus, everything's nautical. The bow sprit.
Yes, that's what it's called.
The little pointy thing on the front of the ship.
The pointy thing
for all us normies. And then just let CJ get us there because he's so stupidly good at the game that we get into battles. The last time I played was CJ and his best friend Mike. I forget who the other person was. You know what? It didn't matter.
I think it was just us three.
Mike steers, and when there's another ship on the horizon, CJ disappears. And then the ship on the horizon catches fire, and then CJ comes back.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do anything.
I don't think that's necessarily how it works anymore, but
I might be exaggerating a tiny bit, but not much.
Tiny bit, yeah. But we should play that again together. That was fun.
Well, yeah, we should. We should play the expansion.
We should, yeah.
But when I do jump on and play Sea of Thieves, I'm not kidding when I'm saying I'm usually just watching CJ play. I exist in the world and I'm watching CJ do stuff.
Well, we should make you do stuff then.
Nah, that sounds terrible.
All right. Let's do this one from Captain Logan. Speaking of Sea of Thieves, do you think the recent change in leadership with Square Enix is the cause for the announcement that Final Fantasy XIV is coming to Xbox Series consoles? Xbox has been working to get more Square Enix games on their consoles for a while, and things stagnated post EXO 2019. No, I think the reason is money. I don't know that the change in leadership necessarily did. I think maybe the price and timing was
leaders
right.
Didn't like money.
Well, I mean, Square Enix did just recently get rid of some studios, right? And they are a public company and they like money. So why not, right?
And they sold them to Embracer.
They did. Oh, Embracer.
I hate it.
Yeah. You know, somebody made I think it was Jeff Grubb this week was talking about obviously the Activision deal and a lot of those people sticking around while their shares or whatever in shares vest and then leaving and making new companies. And in that perspective, I see this as potentially being a good thing, like getting more studios that'll make independent games or
so it's definitely yeah
behind me. I mean, it's not necessarily gonna it's not like Embracer, the Activision Blizzard deal. Like Microsoft is not gonna go down. Whereas Embracer, I don't know. Embracer is probably in that position where like one big failure is going to sink the whole ship.
I think more than anything, Embracer is buying IP. That's really all they're doing.
That's true.
They're buying studios, and I think they'll keep the studios around until
they can't.
Until they need to liquidate them to boost their bottom line.
Yeah.
But they'll keep you know what I mean? Like Tomb Raider will live on in some form.
Yes.
After they liquidate. I hope they don't, but I
hope they don't too.
That's what's going to happen with all that stuff. That's all they're buying.
Yes. All right, let's do this one from Hack-Alias Grim Grinning Guy, who asks, does Greg still have a board game night, and what have you been playing?
So I was streaming from my game room downstairs, which is just beside the den, which is where I keep my board games, which is where we normally would have board game night. And your best friend Mike happened to be in the chat making sardonic comments about the unused stack of board games that you could see on camera. No, we haven't done board game night in a while, just because the summer has been so busy. There are 4 of us, and between travel and for me, kids' schedules and just stuff like that, we just haven't gotten together to do that. Plus, CJ's best friend Mike has forced us all to start playing D&D. So every other week we would play D&D. So that's cut into the board game time even more.
Sure.
I will say though, my daughter went away with her best friend and their family this weekend. And she messaged me on Friday night, I think, asking me, what do you play as in D&D? So I told her, and she's like, I'm playing D&D for the first time tonight. And she was like super excited. She came home and showed me her dice set, and She's very, very excited. This is really cute.
That's excellent.
So
yeah.
Short answer, we technically do still have a board game night. I don't remember the last time we've done it. I think when everything settles down after the summer, we'll probably get back into it. I do have a couple of other games I'd like to grab, but I've also gravitated towards racing games, and the people I play with suck. They don't like those kinds of games, so I need new friends.
Racing board games.
Yeah,
right.
There's some really good ones.
I heard occasionally you've been beaten at your own game there. The racing board.
I get beaten more often than not.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It's the fun of playing.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can't tell if you've frozen. No, you haven't frozen. I just saw you blink.
Is that it? Is that a show? Are we done?
We can be done. Sure.
We can be done.
You're in charge, bro.
Okay, let's be done. I've talked a lot.
I don't know. It seems short.
Video games. We've been talking for an hour and a half.
I'm just kidding. Almost as long as an episode of a Telltale game.
That's true.
Could have finished. You know what? That would be a good game to play on my Steam Deck.
It's not on Steam.
Damn.
It is on the Epic Game Store. They have a Steam store page, but no release date for Steam.
I can't use Epic Game Store on my computer.
Yeah.
It will not load. The launcher will not load.
I have heard that.
I don't know why.
But it's on. I think it's on Xbox and on PlayStation.
But now I want to play it on my Steam Deck.
Well,
or maybe that new PlayStation Steam Deck, whenever that comes out, since the show is going to buy those for us, right?
Project Q. Yeah.
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 I mean, apparently they're in the wild. So.
Well, I don't know about in the wild, but they're in testing or something.
Probably review mode or test.
Yeah. Project Q. You know
you want one.
I am definitely getting one. Of course. Because I use Remote Play on PlayStation a lot, and it just makes sense to get the first party thing. I'm hoping that it's good and that it's not over $300.
It'll be over $300.
You think?
Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah. It's nice.
If it's over $300, then people will just bash it to hell. I mean, they're going to bash it to hell anyway.
Yeah.
But
that's a foregone conclusion.
But yeah. I mean, the Logitech G Cloud is... The MSRP is $350, but they don't really sell it for that anymore. It's pretty much $299 all the time now. Sometimes $250. So yeah. Well, anyway. Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question for us or would like to comment on something you heard, you can direct that to @P1Podcast on the Twitters, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find our contact information. You'll find blog posts about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Greg Stewart. You will also find Generation 16 episodes as they happen. Right?
Oh, do I have to say something now?
I don't know. You had one recently that covered some of the Sega leaked documents, right?
Yeah, I did, and people seem to really have responded well to that. So thank you to everybody who watched that, and I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, and if you haven't watched, please go do. It's been good discussion in the comments.
Sega's Civil War is the title of the video. Very nice. Very nice. And on our website, you'll also find show notes and links to all the things we talked about during this episode. And you'll find a link to our Discord server where we can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you would like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by going to player1podcast.com or to the, what is it called, CJ?
What do you mean?
The Apple Podcast app.
You can go to the Apple Podcast app or whatever podcast client you would like to use. You can do that too. There are many options.
If you'd like to watch us live, you can do so at 8:30 p.m. Eastern every Sunday night. I think I have that time right. Yes, I do. Yes. 8:30 p.m. Eastern every Sunday night on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook. I think those are the only three we stream to anymore
now. Yeah.
Maybe down the line on X or Mastodon or Blue Sky or whatever other social media site we can do it on. But those are the three for right now.
Sure.
And if you would like to support the show, you can do so by going to patreon.com/P1podcast. As Phil would say, throw a few shekels our way. And if you are a supporter of the $5 variety,
cheap.
You didn't really say that with a lot of feeling.
Cheap. That better?
It was different. Okay. You get access to the after show, which we also run every week, where we play games crack wise, do all the things we can't do on the regular show. CJ,
yeah,
do we have a game for this week?
We do have a game this week. It is a rhyming couplet quiz.
Oh God! Please tell me it's not more AI crap. Yeah. It's another AI game.
It is indeed. Because I certainly can't get enough of AI poetry. I know Mr. Nelson agrees with me, and we're going to do this thing in the after show with some terrible AI poetry. The rhyming couplet quiz. Yeah, that's right.
But hey, yeah, if you're a supporter of the $5 variety, you get access to those after shows, which are a lot of fun.
They are.
We think it's pretty cool. But yeah, thank you so much to those of you who do support the show. They help keep the lights on, keep the website running, the hosting, and whatever else CJ says we spend money on. I don't know. He controls the purse strings. So
hosting and the website and the Discord and all that stuff.
Buys him all his Wi-Fi gaming devices.
No, it doesn't do any of that.
Yeah, okay, it doesn't.
Yeah, no.
Also, I'll just throw this out there too. If you have a few bucks left over, please consider going to patreon.com/Greg Seward and supporting my show, Generation 16, as well as other videos that I do. And if you are a supporter of the $5 variety over there,
also cheap,
you get access to the Weekly Commute, which is a weekly vlog series where I talk about what I've been working on and other cool little things, memories about games that I've been a developer on, old reviews, been reading some old gaming age reviews, which have mostly been N64 related, and sort of reliving those N64 games, which has been kind of fun. But yeah, please consider supporting that show as well. CJ, thank you so much for bothering to show up this week and hosting the show.
Well, thank you, Greg, and thank you for hosting the past month plus of shows. That was great, and I really did enjoy listening to those episodes. It was really fun just listening to you and Phil, and sometimes Ben Rivers back and forth. It was good.
Sometimes Ben. It's the name of my rom-com script. Sometimes Ben.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And Phil, wherever you are, we missed you.
Yes. I know he's been playing Illusion Island as well.
Has he really?
Actually, yeah.
With Finn, I assume.
Knowing Phil, he's probably playing it single player.
Probably. Finn's probably not allowed to use his Switch. Yeah, I won't be back next week. But
no, you were taking a break.
I am taking a much needed break after having to steer this ship for almost a month. It's a lot of work. I don't want to do it anymore.
I didn't even make you edit the show.
You're right. You did not. Which is probably more for the benefit of the listeners than anything else.
Well,
because at least we had shows that way.
That's true.
Hey, listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, we really appreciate it. And we'll talk to y'all again next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.